Nidoqueen, do you remember how we fell in love? You were a Nidoran. Do you remember how we hid? Cause you said that you said we remember. Remember. Do you remember? Remember. Nidoqueen, do you remember the time? Fell in love with you. You remember time we first met, girl. Remember the time, Queen. Why? Fell in love with you. Remember the time. You remember how we used to talk? You were in the arena. You don't remember how we say you how you Queen, do you remember? Remember. Remember. I first thing. Remember. Remember. Time opposite. Remember. Back. Nidoqueen, do you remember the time I fell in love with you? Remember the time? Nidoqueen, do you remember the time I fell in love with you? Remember the time? Memories. No matter what you say, I will never forget this baby. Time you remember, you remember we first met, girl. Oh, right, fell in love with you. Remember the time, remember, Queen. Time, remember the time. Nidoqueen, do you remember, girl? On the phone, you're me. You done. You too. What about us, Nidoqueen? Nidoqueen, do you remember? 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 Nidoqueen, do you remember the time we fell in love? You remember, Queen, remember the time? Remember the fell in love with you. Remember the time. Remember the time. Remember the time. Remember, girl. Time. Oh, you mean? Remember the time. Girl. Time. Do you? Nidoqueen, remember the time? Time. About. Time. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do. Do. Time. Yeah. Remember the time.